Section 10 of the Rural Magazine and Literary Evening Fireside, Volume 1, Number 1. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Rural Magazine and Literary Evening Fireside, Volume 1, Number 1, by Various. Notes and Remarks by the Editor of the Register. The general average value of the products of the United States exported may be estimated as amounting to $45 million at fair prices. The cotton, tobacco and rice, included in which, may be valued at $21 million. The balance is made up of breadstuffs and meats, the product of the forest and of the sea, and $2 million in manufactures. The chief things that we have for export bear about the following proportions to the respective quantities consumed in the United States, assuming 45 millions as the amount of value exported, and taking our products at their average quantities. Breadstuffs, meats and drinks. Volume or amount exported, D. 13,500,000. Volume or amount consumed, 270 million. Provender for horses, etc. Say, volume or amount exported, 50,000. Volume or amount consumed, 60 million. Manufactures, in general. Volume or amount exported, 2 million. Volume or amount consumed, 220 million. Product of the fisheries. Volume or amount exported, 1,500,000. Volume or amount consumed, 9 million. Product of the forest. Volume or amount exported, 6 million. Volume or amount consumed, 60 million. Cotton. Weight measurement in pounds. Volume or amount exported, 85 million. Volume or amount consumed, 40 million. Tobacco. Volume or amount exported, hogsheads, 75,000. Volume or amount consumed, 25,000. Rice. Volume or amount exported, tierces, 80,000. Volume or amount consumed, 80,000. The value of the cotton, tobacco and rice consumed in the United States, being considered as included in the aggregate values of the manufactures used, or other stuffs consumed, will give a value to the consumption equal to 619, say 620, millions of dollars per annum. And assuming our population at 9,500,000, the average for each individual is $65 a year. This amount includes all sorts of disbursements needful to the subsistence, convenience, and comfort of the people, except the product of the value labour directly applied to the erection of buildings of the permanent works. The amount, though it appears enormous, I am satisfied is less than the actual value consumed. It brings out the general result that our exports stand to our consumption as 45 is to 620, or as 1 is to 14 at the present time. When the price of commodities was higher, the rate was as 1 to 17. The ratio of each of the preceding items are about as follows. Breadstuffs, meats and drinks as 1 exported is to 21 consumed. Provender, 1 exported is to 1,200 consumed. Manufactured articles, 1 exported is to 110 consumed. Product of the fisheries, 1 exported is to 6 consumed. Product of the forest, 1 exported is to 10 consumed. Cotton, 2 exported to 1 nearly consumed. Tobacco, 3 exported is to 1 consumed. Rice, 1 exported is to 1 consumed. It would be excessively tedious to attempt to detail the multitude of items that affect these general conclusions. Accuracy is not pretended in either of them. Probabilities are only aimed at. From these facts, assumed at being pretty near the truth, we may estimate the importance of the home trade or internal commerce and consumption of the people and arrive at a multitude of highly interesting considerations. Take the following for an example. The sudden introduction of less than 500,000 persons would leave us no surplus of present products of food for men, but it is a demand for this surplus, no matter how created, that assesses the value of the whole product. Such products, let the fact be recollected, were at as high prices during the late war, when there was very little export of them, as they are now. The difference in the value of our circulating medium being also considered, this was caused by a partial want of agricultural labourers, but more by the waste of provisions that belong to a belligerent state. Foreign commerce, nevertheless, has a powerful bearing on the consideration of value in a state of peace, to the growers of grain, meats, etc. The amount beyond their own immediate consumption and that of their families may be about 2/5 of the whole. Besides the foreign export, or nearly 110 millions, the price of which is fixed by the small amount of $13,500,000 worth sent abroad. And this little surplus remaining unconsumed, or without being wasted at home, would depreciate the general value of the whole surplus at least 50%. Hence, it would seem of greater interest to the farmers even to destroy a portion of their products than to cast them into a glutted market. According to the principles acted upon by the Dutch in regard to spices, a policy not to be recommended on the score of morality, but as according with the spirit of trade, it cannot, therefore, be advantageous to the agriculturist to depend upon a foreign market to assess the value of his articles, for it is, and ever must be uncertain and unsteady. It is his interest to have a market at home, for this may be depended upon, and the product will be regulated by the demand, so as to leave a fair profit. A gentleman of observation, on a certain occasion when I was speaking on this subject, related the following case in point. At an interval of about 10 years, he had stopped for a short time at a certain village in Connecticut. When first there, it contained 2 first-rate taverns and 1 other respectable establishment of the same kind. 2 lines of stages made it their halting place every night, and all seemed flourishing and lively. When there again, the 3 taverns were shut up, or at least not occupied as such, and he had to apply at a private house to be accommodated during his stay, and everything appeared dull and desolate. He asked the reason. It was the establishment of steamboats which had destroyed the lines of stages, and driven off the persons and horses that they had given employment to, and of course the market they created, which hitherto took off all the surplus products of the neighbourhood, had ceased to be. 1,000 instances of this sort might be noted to prove that a ready market is the prosperity of a neighbourhood, country, state, or nation. On the different items, especially those of cotton and sugar, as mentioned by the writer in the National Intelligencer, we intend to speak particularly hereafter in the essays we have promised to write under the head of Political Economics, the introduction to which appeared in the Register of the 13th ult., page 162. End of section 10.